Hey there, I'm Ingrid Blackburn, and today we have a colorful project. We're going to use several products that were only available previously in the Stamp of Approval collections, but they are now available in the Catherine Pooler Designs shop, which is celebrating its grand opening today. We have the Ring of Patterns stencil, as well as a few other stamp sets, and I'm going to use some of the newer distress colors. So why don't we get started? I have a piece of 140-pound cold press watercolor paper. It's by Strathmore, and you can see here is the Pattern of Rings stencil, and this is a Winnie and Walter product. This was in the very first collection, and I'm going to go ahead and secure that down with a little bit of painter's tape. I want to make sure that both my project and my stencil aren't going to go anywhere, so that we can do some direct to paper and sponging techniques. Now I have the first part of this at normal speed, and then I sped it up just so that we could go through it a little bit quicker, but you can really get a feel for how I actually add the color to the project. We're going to start off by using some mini sponge tools and some mustard seed, and those are really a go-to tool for me when working with stencils or doing any sort of sponging. But you can see that I can also add color going direct to paper. Now, because we're using watercolor paper, our surface is rather smooth, and it makes for effortless blending. I really encourage it when you're doing some watercolor blending, which we're going to end up adding water at a later point in this project. You can see the carved pumpkin just went down, and then here we have the candied apple. And these colors are really bright and vibrant. They're really more true like colors of the rainbow type colors. And if you haven't had a chance to get them yet, I do encourage you to add them to your collection, because they are really primary colors at their core. And they work really well with the other colors that already exist in the Distress line. Now, below the yellow, we're going to end up adding a little bit of green, but you can see that I went back in with the yellow here and just wanted to do a little bit more of a blend between the red, the orange, and the yellow. I always encourage you to come back in with your lighter shades, because it does help give you a little bit more of a flawless look. And then now we're going to add some of the green, and I'm using the new Twisted Citron, which has very quickly become a favorite of mine. I love this almost kind of electric green color. It's really, really bright, and it's kind of fun. I'm not normally drawn to more of the neon shades, but this really kind of has that neon feel to it. And then in the bottom corner, we're going to end up adding the Blueprint Sketch, which is really, really bright blue. And over on the right, we're adding the new Wilted Violet. So you can see we kind of have all the different colors here, definitely all the colors of the rainbow. And just going to come back in with some of those lighter shades, and just where some of those colors kind of cross, we're going to blend them a little bit more, maybe add a little bit more direct paper just to intensify them if they need it, and then just kind of blend it out with the blending tool. Did wipe my stencil off several times with a soft cloth in between, because some of that ink just kind of collects on there, and before moving into a lighter color, I just want to remove some of that darker color so that it doesn't transfer to the sponge. Now next up, we're going to transform this project from a sponge background with using some misted water, and we're going to lightly mist this from about 1.5 feet to almost 2 feet up higher. And I'm just lightly spraying it, and this is going to help give the background a more watercolor feel to it and a little bit more of a painted look. You don't want to add too much water. You have to find the right balance, and then if you have a little too much, you can just quickly run a paper towel over it, removing excess water before drying it. Once your project is dry, you can pull away your stencil, and it's time for the big reveal. And I just love this look. I mean, look at the great contrast between those really bright, vibrant colors and that pattern of rings. I mean, it's just so beautiful. Now I'm going to pick this up and fully dry it a little bit more, and then I'm going to lay it back down, and we're going to add a little bit more water to our project. I'm just spritzing a little bit of water into my hand and allowing it to pool, and then I'm just going to kind of flick it against my project, and where it lands on the distress ink, because distress ink has a real fugitive property, it really remains open. It will actually lighten in those areas, and if you have a little too much, you can just very quickly put a paper towel over that area. It'll blot up that water, and then as it continues to dry, it will continue to lighten. And then if you want to be a little bit more direct with where your splatter is, just take a little bit of water and just grab a paintbrush. I have a number 6 Ranger round brush right here, and then I'm just going to actually kind of flick it in the exact spots where I want my little water droplets. And this is a really good technique for when you need it to be a little bit more precise, because I have a smaller paintbrush and I don't have too much water on there, and I'm kind of controlling it a little bit more than when I can flick it with my hand. They both have great looks. You get smaller droplets with a paintbrush than you do when you actually flick it with your hand. And then you're going to want to dry that completely. And if you leave it on and it's just not really doing enough for you, you can add a little bit more, or just dry it without removing any of the water, and it will just really lighten into something special. Now that we have this great texture and character to our project, we're going to add a greeting. And this is the greeting from the HB2U stamp set by Sugar Pea Designs, which was in the Young at Heart collection. And I've added it by embossing it to some vellum cardstock, and that's a great see-through way to not take away too much from your background. You can see right there I have the tag buddies, and that's what I'm going to use to cut this out. Those are also from the very first Stamp of Approval collection, also available in the store. All this goodness is now available in the store. Of course, it's always better to get the collection because you do get it for a little bit less. You get more value when you get the collection when they're available, but it's nice that you can at least now get some of the components if you missed out the first time around. So you can see I cut that out, and you can see how you can get that great color and pattern shining right through the vellum. We're going to wrap that around. I'm going to use a bone folder to secure it, just to help me make sure that it lays flat. And I've cut out a couple of circles using another one of the die collections from the Friendship collections. And I'm going to use some sparkling clear sequins by Pretty Pink Posh, a little bit of multi-matte medium, which dries really clear. And here you go. Here are a couple close-ups for you. You can see that by adding those couple little things to the vellum, they really help to secure the project down, because I'm able to add some adhesive to the back without really anything shining through. I love the texture in this background piece. It's just absolutely beautiful. So thanks so much for joining me today. Give me a thumbs up if you liked the video. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as our Creative Tips newsletter over on the blog, and definitely check out the brand new Catherine Pooler Designs store. See you next time. Bye-bye.